Hey neighbor, have you ever noticed how some seeds germinate differently for you? They may be slower or they may be sporadic or just something that you can't understand. Well, there's different nuances with different types of seeds, and we're going to cover that today. All right, let's head on over to the seed room and get us some seeds we can talk about. Here's two of our seed packing ladies here, and they're gonna get some seeds for me. All right, so let's get Shirey dark tobacco, Bella Rosa seed, Abe Lincoln tomato seed, Skyphos lettuce, Parris Island lettuce, and passion flower. These two ladies here do our seed pulling, and these two ladies by themselves can pull anywhere from 600 to 700 orders per day. All right, the first two seeds let's talk about is tomato seeds. Abe Lincoln, which is an heirloom variety, and Bella Rosa, which is one of our best-selling hybrid varieties. These are tomatoes, but these seeds are different and they germinate differently. We have two different types of seed here. We have the Abe Lincoln, which is a raw seed in a raw seed stage right there. And we have this pelleted seed right here. Bella Rosa, as you can see, is white and it's coated with a clay. This is an inorganic material here. It's just simply a clay that they coat these seeds with. And the reason is, it makes these seeds a lot easier to handle. If you've ever tried to plant tomato seeds one at a time, planting these pelleted seeds is the way to go. Now, normally speaking, when we see pelleted seeds here, it takes them longer to germinate than it does raw seed. And the reason is pretty simple. That water, the moisture in the potting soil has to break down this clay on the outside of the seed before it can get to that seed to make it start germinating. But that's not the case with these tomato seeds. Our tomato seeds, such as Taki, hosstools, red snapper, and this Bella Rosa right here, is pelleted so we can have ease in transplanting them, but they're also primed. And primed is a process where the seed company takes this seed through a stage to make it germinate, but it stops it right before that seed pops out of the seed and makes a plant there. It's a pretty complicated process, and it's a pretty amazing process. So these Bella Rosa seeds that we have right here, although they are pelleted, is going to germinate quicker than those raw Abe Lincoln seeds there. We put these in the seed starting tray, and they're going to pop out in just a matter of days, and then maybe a couple, 3 days later, these Abe Lincolns would come up there. If you've ever planted any of our Bella Rosa seeds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, let's look at lettuce seeds. We all love to grow lettuce and grow our own salad. So we have Parris Island lettuce over here that is a raw seed that you can see right there. Now again, this raw seed is going to be a little bit hard to handle. It's light and fluffy, and it's just hard to get one seed up and put it in the seed starting tray. But yet on this other side, we have a pelleted lettuce, and this is Skyphos right here, pelleted lettuce. There again, it's just a clay coating on that makes that seed bigger and easier to handle. So much easier just to pick up and drop one of these in the seed starting cell. But unlike our tomatoes, this Skyphos pelleted seed is not primed. So therefore, this particular seed is going to take longer to germinate than the raw seed because it's simply just a pelleted seed and it has that clay coating on the seed there. We got to break that clay down first before the moisture can get to the actual seed. So you're going to be looking at, probably a couple of days more or longer for these pelleted seeds to germinate than you are the raw seed. A lot of people's opinion is this worth the extra weight because it's so much easier to handle. All right, folks, this here is a lima bean or a butter bean that we actually grow here at Hall's. It's an old heirloom variety called Reverend Fry. And this one right here, we just got on our side here, but it being a lima bean, if you've ever planted beans before, beans can be kind of sporadic on how they emerge or how they germinate there. This seed we sent to the lab to get it germ tested, and it came back 60% germ with a 31% hard germ. And what that means is if you plant these Reverend Fry beans is you're going to get 30% of these, 60% of these that's going to pop pretty quick. And then there's going to be another 30% that's going to have a delay germination because it's a harder, drier type seeds there. They are going to germinate, but it's going to be a few days later than that. And I'm sure you've experienced this with beans. I have in the past. So the actual germination of this Reverend Fry lima bean is 91%. But they're not all going to germinate at the same time. They're going to be, you're going to get that first pop of 60%, and then 2 or 3 days later, you're going to end up getting that extra 30% come through there. Now this is something that you may not know about beans. I actually didn't know it till not too long ago, but I knew from years past to plant them, they can be kind of, disgusting when you plant them, when you go out there and look at them, just a few coming up, and it takes several days for them to all come up there. And that's the reason why a lot of these bean seeds have these hard seeds in them, and they do come up, but just not all at one time. And it's not due to the quality of the seed, it's just the nature of some of these bean seeds. All right, so let's talk about tobacco seeds. Yeah, we sell tobacco seeds here at Hoss, and we sell a lot of them. We got 3 different varieties, but tobacco seeds can be a little tricky to get them to come up there. I'm just going to try to show you exactly how small these seeds are. You see there, and these are actually coated just a little bit there to get them bigger than what they were, but these things are really, really small. Now, tobacco seeds, like a lot of the herb seeds, cannot be covered. If you cover these seeds up or you plant these things 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch deep, they simply will not germinate. They have to be left on top of the soil. Now you can press them into the soil just a little bit, but they have to be exposed on the top of the soil to get germination. So if you was to plant these type seeds or other type seeds that are like this into a soil, they're not going to come up. You're not going to get any germination whatsoever. And it's not the fault of the seed, it's the fault of how it was planted. So what we're trying to do is trying to tell you that some of these seeds just have different ways you have to plant them to get germination. Now you will get good germination off these things if done correctly, but they have to be put on top, they have to be misted lightly for the first few days. If you overwater these, you'll mess up your germination, they'll die. So you have to lightly water them on top of the soil, and then you'll be successful growing them. Takes normally about 50 to 60 days to grow these things out for transplants. Now this is a perennial herb that we added this year called passion flower. And a lot of these herbs can be kind of tricky to get to germinate. And here's the thing about herbs. They have soft seed and hard seed as well, kind of like I talked about with the beans, but it's a little bit different. These things can have somewhere between 40 to 50 to 60% of soft seed and anywhere from 30 to 40% hard seed. Now on these perennial herb seeds, if you think about the plant in general, that plant's goal in life is to reproduce. So it creates hard seed and soft seed. And the reason for that is when it puts off that seed pod and that seed falls to the ground to help it to reseed, it's going to have soft seeds in there that's ready for germination. So if the conditions are right, the climate's right, we're getting rainfall and everything, that seed falls on the ground, it sprouts, it comes up, everything's wonderful. But if everything is not right and that seed falls to the ground and it didn't have favorable conditions to germinate, then that seed's going to die. But yet that plant put off a hard seed that's going to be 6 months down the road before it's ready to germinate. So what this is a process of the plant so that the plant knows it's going to be able to reproduce under most conditions. If conditions are not favorable now, the soft seeds are not going to come up, but conditions are favorable 6 months from now, that hard seed is going to germinate and come up. So with these soft seeds, when you plant these things, you're going to see a pop of maybe half the seeds in there come up. Then these hard seeds are not going to come up maybe till a few months later. So keep that in mind, especially when you're planting these perennial seeds, that you've got hard seed and soft seeds in that seed pack, and it may take a while to get them all to come up. But the good thing about it is, if you was to lose your first crop of soft seed due to some kind of environmental conditions, you still got a hard seed there that can come up later on when conditions change so that you can be successful growing these perennials. And while the germination rate on seeds is very important, the actual type of germination can help you understand why sometimes plants do pop out differently, quicker or slower or more sporadic than others. This information, I hope, will help you be more successful growing your own food and growing your own plants.